So we were talking about starting out with minimal gear, learning the ropes with nothing, making one mic sound good, and how to expand from there. And you say you started with
just a pair of multimedia speakers, Yamaha multimedia speakers, and what were they called back then? The titanium MacBook. And I think I had Pro Tools free at one point. That was it. And then, in my bedroom, basically. It's like, okay, well, I got this recording. It's not the best recording, but...
And what was the first album you did with it?
It's kind of an avant-garde rock band called Miasma and the Carousel of Headless Horses. And they're amazing. And it's, and I still listen back to it, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds decent, That was pretty cool. It was a good experience. It was like a really good learning curve, just to be able to work with such a good band, at that point, and just like, cool, okay, let's make this sound good. I like master it myself and everything with plugins, and just like no idea what I'm doing, but sounds good. And that's
when I started. There was no computers really, not in studios regularly. When I had a Tascam 4-track. Well, before that I had an Amstrad tape deck.
All right.
Double tape deck, and you could record from one to the other and then put the cassette back in, and it had a jack input. So you could overdub from one tape to the other tape and overdub vocals or a guitar at the same time. And yeah, I had one mic and the tape deck, and then I got two mics. And they weren't even 57s. It was the old Unidynes.
Oh yeah,
Unidyne B. Had two of them and a 4-track, and I thought, this is it. I'm a big shot producer now. But learning that was probably the crucial foundations of what I do now, really. If I can't make something sound good with a 57, then there's something wrong. The source is wrong, or
that's kind of, I'd probably say that's probably my main focus, because I'm not kind of a nerdy, geeky engineer. I'm more, and my thing is like the source is, I think everyone knows that, but I just really I focus on the source a lot more than, the microphone's gotta be in this millimeter here. I just kind of put the mic roughly where it usually goes, and then just, for example, guitars, sounds good.
You've got a pretty extensive collection of backlight now, haven't you?
Yeah.
And what's your favourites?
Well, they all do different things, as you know. I guess the way I judge is because I got all my amps in two piles in the control room, and I guess what I use the least is what's at the bottom of the very bottom of it is the 5150, surprisingly. Followed by the Mesa Boogie Road King, which I actually really like. It's a super versatile amp, and I do give shit to bands when they go like, oh, it's a middle amp, and it's like, no, it's not. It's a middle amp.
No, it's very versatile.
It's not. They do clean tone on them, are really, really good as well. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
So I guess my favorites, I don't know. Well, I recently got a Sun Model T, who's it's not mine, it's Stephen O'Malley's from Sun, but he's got so many, and he's like, well, I'll be working with you again, and we're friends, just keep one here. I got like 14 of them. So cool. Great. That sounds great, and I really like the old Fender Twins a lot, and for metal, like what I tend to use the most, probably is my Marshalls JTM 45 and JCM 800 from 1981, the 2203.
Yeah, I got I used to collect 800s.
Oh really?
When I was playing in bands a lot, I always had an 800. That was my sound. But I would always, anyone I saw for sale, I would try it out, and if it was better than mine, I would sell mine and buy that one.
All right.
I must have had, I don't know, at least a dozen of them over the years, and then I found this one, and it was the holy grail of 800s.
They sound so different, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like mine sounds like a JMP1. it's got almost no gain. You know, it's really weird. But
yeah, mine's a bit low on the gain, but you know, stick a tube screamer in front of it, and it's great.
Yeah. Also the bottom end, that pedal.
Yeah, there's not a great deal of bottom end in the Marshall already, but
yeah, I don't know. I use different things, but it's a good pedal for some stuff. I'm a total pedal freak. I got like, I don't know, probably go about nearly 100 pedals now. A lot of them distortions and overdrives and yeah. So yeah, I found some that do some, you know, kind of pretty cool things, and it's like, oh yeah, this, and, you know, and you'll find me using, you know, for example, with Cathedral, I had an 800 and I had a custom Hiwatt 100 from the 70s, exactly same as Dave Gilmour's amp, and we did one, you know, like one layer with the 800 and one layer with the, but each one of them had like 6 different pedals, like distortion pedals, but they're all doing very small things all at once, you know, like, yeah, just a bit of the tone on that, a bit of the gain of that, try that on a bit.
there's a lot of noise,
Yeah,
but you don't care.
no.
No, me neither.
It's good noise. It's nice
Yeah,
noise.
yeah.
A bit of noise, you know. There's a line, you know, like the Mesa Boogie amp I have is it's American, so I had to buy one of those step up, step down transformer. I never know which way it is, and it hums a lot when you crank it, because I do tend to run my amps pretty hot as well.
Yeah, me too.
And it does. It gets sometimes I just go like, no, it's unbearable now. It's just too much noise, and I just have to change it to something else. There's a line there, you know.
Speaking of backline, we can just bring in the subject of the
Oh, that thing.
the box of witchcraft.
Yeah.
You haven't tried one yet.
No. I'm very. Oh, where was it? We had this kind of little discussion. Was it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our friend James, he was getting one, and I just kind of googled this, like, the fuck is that? And I just looked, I said, like, whoa, that looks like one of those Focusrite liquid channels or something like that. And then I just kind of went like, oh, I don't know. I was just reading about it, like, oh, that sounds. Basically, to me, my experience was, I mean, I have to try it, obviously, and I will. But when the pod came out, I was like, whoa, the pod sounds amazing, sounds better than, it's like having all the amps in the world, and it sounds really like the real stuff. And I remember just getting a pod one session, just going like, ooh, it was a Pod Pro, the rack one, the red one. I was like, nah, I really don't like this. I mean, it kind of worked for some cleans with it.
Yeah.
It was alright. But for like any kind of rocky kind of, there was like no mojo at all. And then another session, someone brought an XFX. And he said, oh man, this is the stuff, It's just like, no, it's just the pod. It's like, no. This is like $2,500. This is amazing. You have to try it. Okay, cool. So we were doing like some kind of like techie kind of metal stuff, high gain kind of stuff. And I go, okay, well, I got this 5150 here with these pedals, and I got an orange cab there with 157. This is years ago, and let's compare it. Straight away I was like, no fucking way. Like, I just, it just sounded kind of muddy, and I don't know, I tried, and I did give it a good go, and I like, no, it didn't work out.
I've had it 3 times now, 3 albums where people have turned up with XFX. And they say, this is it. And I say, okay, well, show me your best sounds. You must have spent a long time going through it and tweaking them. So show me your best sound. And you listen to it and you go, yeah, it's okay.
It's workable.
Yeah. But now I'm going to plug in an amp and put a mic on it, and we'll just A/B, and you can choose. I won't even say anything. You can choose. And every single one of them goes, yeah, okay. Alright, the amp's better.
Yeah, it's funny, I had that same discussion with, funnily enough, with Steph from Deftones, because he does some work with one of my neighbors, and he was there, and he saw like my, underneath where he was sitting, there were like 10, 12 guitar caps or something, and then I showed him my amps, and he's like, dude, what you got this for? And it's like, because it sounds great. And he's like, no man, I use the XFX now, and it's the best. And I'm like, no man, like, and I just, we had this argument for about half an hour non-stop about the XFX. And in a way I see, like, I think they changed now, because I saw a video of them recording the last album they did, and there were amps left, right, and center. But I think I think in a way, if you're a live musician, which he is, I mean, you can carry a two.
Oh, it's a great thing for live.
I'm sure live they sound great. There's no feedback problems. Like your monitoring and stuff is probably better.
Same sound every day.
Yeah,
no problem.
So I think for that it's great. Because I think for a PA you're not gonna notice the difference between whatever and I don't know.
And they're great for lead sounds and special effects and things like that.
Well.
Clean parts, brilliant. But they're the same with the pod. I loved the pod when it came out, but only for clean sounds and crazy effects. You could never get a rhythm sound out of it.
No, I couldn't.
But now I got to say, I can get a rhythm sound out of those.
Well, I have to try it out.
I have to. It's a big claim. It is a really big claim, but I would say that for me is the biggest breakthrough in music technology this millennia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what it does, it like captures the impulse of the amp you put through it.
Yeah, but it's not just. There's more to it. Basically, it fires out a test tone to your amp, and you've mic'd it up, and you've got it through your favourite preamp, and you've EQ'd it how you want it, and you've got your album sound, main rhythm sound. It fires out these crazy test tones that sound like some alien attack, and it analyses the difference between what it's putting out and what it hears back, because you plug it back from the desk to the other input. But then you play your guitar into it, and it analyses your pick technique, how hard you hit, what sound is coming from your guitar, so the pickups and everything makes a difference to it.
Oh wow. And
it refines the algorithm. The more time you spend on it, the more you can refine it. And it gets to the point where I sit and I cover up the screen on it so nobody can see which one it is, and you can just hit the A-B button so that you're hearing the amp or the Kemper. And there is a tiny difference, but it's not worse. It's just a tiny difference. Like if you tried to set up two amps the same, there would be a tiny difference.
Yeah.
It's that kind of difference. But every player who's played through it can't tell if they're playing through that or the amp. They say the response is the same.
Wow. I'll have to try
and
that.
I think that is what really makes it magic, is that it feels right for the player.
I'm just such a dinosaur with stuff like that. I just look at that thing and I just think like, yeah, but, well, especially with the way I work, I don't do presets. Like, I don't have, like, I said, obviously, I have some guidelines to what I do, but like every band I get in, I do something completely different from start to end.
Yeah, me too.
So, I don't know, it's just like having the same kind of sounds, it's kind of good for that, I guess. Like,
but I've never used
the same in
somebody else's guitar sound on somebody else's album.
Yeah.
But for me, firstly, it's a massive safety net, because
if the amp goes down.
Have you ever had an amp go down halfway through tracking and you get it fixed and it doesn't sound the same?
Yeah.
So for that reason, it's a perfect safety net.
Yeah.
Also, if we decide 2 weeks later, oh shit, we want to change that guitar part, if we've left the studio, we can easily patch something up. Because I've done it where we've tracked the main rhythm sound with the amp, but then later on decided to change something, and we fixed the section with that and like dropped it into the same track, and you can't tell.
Well, that's really handy. I didn't think about it that way. That's really good as a safety kind of backup device. It's cool.
And it means, obviously, for me, I can record at home without coming into the studio. Though I don't have to. If I have an idea, I haven't got to come running up here and set the amps up. And
How much is one of them things?
I think they retail 1,400. But there's deals to be had.
Can get another 800 for that money.
So we were also talking about the never-ending spending of money when certain things come along, and you've just bought some new mics.
Yeah, I'm very excited about those. Yeah, it's just girlfriends love it and wives. Yeah, they're like, hey, you remember that holiday we were talking about? It's not happening now. It's all gone in a pair of microphones. It's like, right, okay. Yeah, it just never ends. You know, it's like every single time I'm like, oh, I gotta kind of, you know, I just kind of look at the diary. It's like, oh, I'm pretty booked up, and yeah, getting this for that, blah blah blah. I just kind of go like, oh, I got this much kind of saved. Cool, got money to save. You know, like wow, amazing. And then you know, there's always someone, some bastard that rings me up, or like, or just tells me like, oh, dude, I just seen this nerd drum for X amount of money. You're like, yeah, all right, I'll buy that. It's like 500 quid. That's, you know, doable. I'm just looking at my, and then someone else calls like, oh mate, we got this. This what happened to me. AKG C414 EB silver ones, match pair with original CK12 capsules, and I just went like, yeah. And I was literally like 5 minutes before, I was just telling my girlfriend, you know, I'm gonna save money and, you know, just start maybe saving to maybe, you know, get a mortgage or something. And
well, with this place, I mean, we got it into a certain kind of state that we were happy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you got everything you need here. Right?
Yeah, and you kind of think, great, that's it. You know, we've got everything we need to make a good record. We don't need to spend any more money. And then somebody just comes along and dangles the hook, and you buy a new pair of speakers or a new microphone.
Yeah, it always happens.
I mean, plugins as well. I mean, I keep saying, I don't need any more plugins. I've got everything I need. But then something just comes along and you go, oh, I'll just try it out. I know it's on special offer this week.
And they're terrible because when you had it that you try out a plugin and they give you like a demo of like 2 weeks or something, and then you actually end up using it in a session, and then the session kind of overruns and you go like, shit, I have to buy it now. It's like, well, I guess I'm using it, so I'll buy it. But yeah, plugins are pretty. I'm trying to narrow it down as well with the plugins. Like, I think literally I want to move to pretty much just like UAD exclusively. Just, you know, because they emulate like all the stuff I really like, because I'm just like that. I like the old kind of gear. I don't know why, but I don't know if it sounds better or worse. Maybe I just even like the look of it, you know.
Well, it's definitely a lot to do with it, isn't it? Yeah,
just, you know, and it's you know, they obviously have I like character in records, so but yeah, I actually asked them, you know, like, hey, you know, like, you know, endorsements and stuff. They were like, no, die. It's like, okay, fine, I'll buy it then.
I've never tried it.
Yeah, they're really good, and I'm narrowing it down because it's just starting to get. I don't really use that many plugins. That's the thing. So I had a lot of them, and then, you know, back in the day, you know, like before I was like a professional, you know, of course everyone had all the cracked plugins and stuff, and you know, I got to try a lot of stuff, and then with time it's like, yeah, well, I'm just what do I actually use, you know, and I don't use a lot of stuff, so I just kind of want to get, you know, maybe different flavors of what I use a lot, and that's it, really. And I don't know. I'm sure you get the same problem that it's just you see your Pro Tools menu of plugins, and it's like.
I do get rid of stuff if I'm not using it. No, at least put it in the unused folder, or, you know, maybe sell them. Although it really does pain me to sell anything.
Oh, I'm terrible like that.
Even if it's something I've never used and probably never will use, I still can't bring myself to sell it.
Do you ever get them? Do you ever do this thing where you buy something new and you go like, "Oh, I was a bit naughty," and they go, "Oh well, I'll sell something else I'm not using," and then you know you're lying to yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I got that. So I'll buy the Kemper, I'll profile everything, and then I'll get rid of a couple of heads that I don't use. No, they're still sat out there.
Yeah, I don't think I ever sold any of my studio equipment.
I learned when I was late teens. I had an amazing find in a junk shop. An early 80s Ibanez 12-string, 6-string SG in a custom case.
Like a twin neck?
Yeah, twin neck.
Wow.
85 quid.
No way.
It was in mint condition. The guy, it was a junk shop. He didn't even sell instruments, really. So I got it, and I had it for years. I tried using it live once and felt such a tit.
Yeah, it's only Jimmy Page allowed.
Yeah. So it just sat there. And I also had a Roland JC120, which I loved the sound of.
I got one.
But it had a fault on it. And I had it fixed so many times and they just couldn't get rid of this noise on it. And so in the end I thought, fuck it, I need some money. I need to buy some stuff. And I sold both of them.
Oh no.
And I regretted it so much.
Was it the classic kind of zzz? It's not like very low, it's kind of a... Yeah, they do that. And it's so... You can hear it coming like right like from the middle of the speaker.
Yeah.
If you mic it up near the cone, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, they are kind of noisy. Well, mine is. It shouldn't be, it's a transistor and it should be quite cool.
But I always regretted selling them, and I always thought, that's it, I'll never sell anything again.
I was thinking about getting a 24-track 2-inch tape machine.
Whoa.
And which is a big can of worms, I know.
You'll never have any money.
Well, I don't know. But yeah, they're just so expensive to service and stuff. They're a pain in the ass. But I felt like I really want to get one, and then I thought, kind of looked at my controller and it's like, there's no room for it to go now. Like, and then I kind of go and look at my storage, and it's like just cramped with stuff. It's like, okay.
I've always been baffled if I'm bombarded with too much at one time. Like if I was given, a 24-track recorder and as many mics as I wanted right at the beginning, I would have freaked out and gone, oh, I don't know how to do this. But because I learned each tiny little thing, and I learned everything there was to know about that thing, and then learnt the next thing, and then the next thing, I'm not saying I know it all, because I don't think anybody knows it all. But understanding what it is that you're doing, and understanding everything that is possible with what you've got, and then moving on to the next thing, then buying something else, then getting...
I have felt that myself too, actually, when... Well, like the first recording... My first record I actually did was on a dictaphone. Cassette dictaphone. And I had this little band with like my two best friends. I think I was like 13 or something. And so I basically, I just put it around, and we were just playing, and then listen back, and it's like, no, it sounds like crap. And then, oh, maybe let's put it here. That sounds a bit better. Or like, and then I found that that if I put it in this was in my bedroom, so if I put it inside my wardrobe, with the door a bit open, it sounded, I guess, because it wasn't overloading to hell, 10
dB wardrobe pad.
Exactly. And then it sounded better, and that's literally like my best friend. He's still got this cassette somewhere, and I keep on telling him like, look, can you send it to me so I can digitize it? And he's like, no, that's the story of our childhood there, and I'm not gonna put it on the post, because if we lose it, I'm just gonna be really upset about it. And say, yeah, good point. And that's kind of and then I started with like my mom. She's a musician, so she had a little bit of recording equipment. She had one of these PV power desks, which I'd never seen one around, since then, and I just thought like, well, how can I record this better? She had some like SM58s as well, like maybe 3 or something, and okay, well, how do you record into this? And and then I kind of like stereos and stuff when I was a kid, so I kind of, well, I need the aux out going, or like some output going into like a something that records. So I borrowed my older sister's boyfriend at the time cassette deck, and I just plugged the output of the desk, I don't know which one, onto that, and just, oh yeah, it records, cool. And then I kind of started like just messing around and just like, okay, if I put it here it sounds better, if I put it there it sounds, with my drum kit basically. And then it got to a point that I started getting like my friends' bands when I was like, I don't know, like 15. We're just a bunch of kids, but we all kind of had bands and stuff. They started asking me like, oh, can you record us? And it's like, yeah, well, sure, just come in. And I got some of the tapes, that I recorded, and it's like, yeah, I mean, like, you can kind of hear what's going on, and I think I kind of got, each one kind of got better. And then, yeah, then I started doing like bits of live, just going to live sound, kind of, a friend of mine was a live sound engineer, and just go and have a look, and it's like, and he'll be really explaining me like, oh yeah, this and that, and I was like, cool. Then I bought like a couple of books and started like, and then I was like, yeah, I want to do the course, and did the course, worked a lot on it. But then again, like, I only felt I started learning when I got thrown to the deep end really bad, actually.
That's the best way.
I got a job in a small studio in Camden, and the guy kind of interviewed me. He interviewed a lot of people, he said, and told me, yeah, you got the job, you got a session this weekend. And they had a 24-track tape machine, and when I did my course, I have never used a 24-track tape machine. So he just kind of showed me, he just kind of went like, yeah, that goes there, that goes that, blah blah, this is the routing here, blah blah, the tape, you just thread this way, clean up the heads before you start, blah blah, blah, you got session on Saturday. And I was freaking out, like, honestly, I was just pulling my hair out at that session. I was just like, ah. But I did it, managed in the end, and
because you had the basic knowledge.
Yeah, I kind of
already,
had the basic. Yeah, so I just
so
kind of
where to put a mic, and if it sounds good, it's the same thing. You just got to do it more times.
Yeah.
But I had the same thing. I was with a band. I was doing their live sound, and they said, "Oh, we were recording some demos for our next album." It was their second album. Will you come to the studio and help us record? Yeah, great. I thought there would be an in-house engineer, and there wasn't.
All
Just
right.
the studio. Oh shit! 24-track, 1-inch. What was the machine? Tascam. What were they called? I can't remember what they were called. Yeah.
Well, the analog tape ones.
Yeah, the 1-inch 24-track.
Never heard of it.
And just looked at it, and there was so many channels and so many lights and so many, patch bay and like, oh, fucking hell. And I did freak out, but okay, well, think about it. It's just the same. It's just the same as what I do already, but just more of it.
More of it, yeah. Yeah, it's a cool way to start, I think, when you just like. I really appreciate that from Pete. That he just kind of went like, do that, and then as you were saying earlier, how you like kind of grow out of your setup, because I did a lot of work there on and off, because I was freelancing around, and it got to a point that I felt in that studio like, it's I kind of reached the, like the best I could do there, and then it's kind of when I need to, I actually feel now that I need to get better equipment, but that's a good way of doing stuff, I think, instead of just like, oh, here's your SSLK 48 channels with your Pro Tools HD and all the output in the world, and just, there you go. I think it's much better that way. You get to know equipment a lot better. I'm sure you had the same.
For me, the biggest quest that I had, because the biggest mystery I had was compression. So I would stay. This was the early days when I was assisting, in the early days of engineering for producers, and I would stay behind in the studio after hours and just plug things into the compressors and just try them all out. And then it puzzled me. Well, why is this one completely different to this one? It's got the same knobs on it, attack and release and ratio, but why does this one sound different to this one? Maybe there's something wrong with it. And then, oh right, okay, this one sounds different. You use this one for this, and you can use this one for this, and slowly you start finding your way through the minefield of compressors.
I couldn't. I swear to God, like the first time I tried a compressor, I could not hear it. I mean, obviously, like I had a makeup gain, so I could put it like back to a level it kind of was, and I just be like attack release, just kind of, and I just couldn't like. It was like, well, I don't really hear much difference. I mean, admittedly, it was like it was one of those little Yamaha digital desks, the 01V, I think it was. And so maybe the compressors of that are not. They probably don't do much.
They don't do anything.
But I was like, God, I must be like deaf or something. Maybe I'm just doing the wrong thing, And then I remember when we were doing when I first got to use the SSL when I was doing my course, I was like, well, I don't like that desk. I was talking to a lecturer and said, I don't like that desk. And why is that? Well, because there's no makeup gain on the compressors and everything goes quiet when you compress something. And he was just like.
I remember the first time I got to use an 1176, and I thought, oh yeah, what's this old thing? It hasn't got hardly any knobs on it. It can't be any good. And like, oh
wow!
Yeah. Oh shit!
Yeah,
that was a huge revelation.
Yeah, I think it's good to. I guess when you're starting, it's good to start with something that you can really hear, like an 1176, and like put a snare through and just go like attack 0, release 0, all buttons in. It's like, wow, okay, I hear what compression does now.